Hey, comic book collectors, do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.
Welcome to the one and only Comic-Con Podcast, your podcast for comic book news, reviews, and comic community drama, with your hosts, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal. Are you listening?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con Podcast, Season 4, Episode 34, recording this on August 22nd. We are back from Terrificon 2024. What a wild and crazy show. Set up. We're going to talk about it. We're going to bring on a ton of guests. It's going to be an all Terrificon show. So if you missed out on the show, you want to cry listening to this episode, this could be your show. So Zach's back home in Virginia. How's it going, buddy? It's been a while. It's been a very busy week. We haven't talked at all, right?
Right. And honestly, I finally feel rested. I'm gonna be honest. Like those first couple of days, I was so fucking tired, and so I've just been sleeping and taking naps as much as possible. But I've been like at home, work from home all this week, which was nice. And but damn, finally feeling back to normal. So
yeah, it's been wild. Like I've been going, and even my wife's seen it. Like driving home Monday, I didn't even drive straight home, went out to PA and then had to come back to New Jersey and just working and stuff. I'm just like, I can't wait till Friday at 5:00 so I can just shut myself off and, start actually looking at all these books that I bought and clean up this basement. Cause it's an absolute, it's just a disaster down here, folks. It really is. So
I haven't even gone through the stuff. Like I still have my bag of crap still that I haven't even unboxed yet. I've just been so busy around with that other stuff around the house. So it's kind of like, I need to go through that shit too.
Yeah.
So
before we get into our Terrificon talk, we're gonna bring on all of our guests. Can we just real quick talk about the elephant in the room?
What's the elephant?
Can we talk about the Acolyte cancellation? Not getting a season 2, motherfuckers! I told you it was shit. I told you.
Why is that elephant in the room? Honestly, if anyone actually thought it was getting a season 2, you needed to get checked out for that, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing got way too much hate to like survive. There's no way, dude.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't want to leave everybody in the backstage. We got a ton of people hanging out with us. They're going to be popping in. They're going to be leaving whenever they want. So, let's start off with someone new in the community who we're definitely going to have on again. He is definitely a younger collector, and I love him. I've met him a few times up in Connecticut. We got our boy Noah from Broke Boy Comics. Good evening, sir. How are you, Noah?
I'm doing great. I'm just, happy to be on here. My first podcast, so super excited. I'm just honored to be here.
Yeah, you could have dressed up a little nicer for the podcast, dude. I mean, like everything's visual, so we expected a suit and tie. You really dropped the ball here on that one.
My tie-dyed Superman shirt I got in a giveaway.
You're all set. You got the Superman shirt, and then you got all the Marvel posters behind you. So it's a good clash.
And all the slabs too down there. Everything is always behind my videos.
So for all our listeners, please go check out on YouTube Broke Boy Comics. This man is the future of comic collecting. So make sure you go check him out in the Connecticut area. And we're gonna get into your big first con, but another team. We have another team guy here from the Connecticut. I wouldn't say Connecticut. It's Connecticut area, but he doesn't live in Connecticut like Noah does. But we have Chinmo from 3 Men in a Basement, another person who is a big Star Wars guy as well. I'm sure he's got something to say real quick. So Chinmo, how are you?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on here. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah. So the 3 Men in a Basement, another team that was set up at Terrificon. We're going to hear all about that as well as we go through each of our stories. And then last but not least, someone that I actually got to meet in person finally, who's been on this podcast before, our first Canadian to jump into the show because the other ones decided to be late. But we have Hyper a Combo Comics. How are you, sir?
What is up, guys? Yeah, happy to be here. Second time on the Comic-Con podcast, and first time Terrificon goer.
Yeah, so I know I've heard a lot of stories that Hyper was going to be really slow going through around the con, going in boxes, but you had to You had to make your
Seriously,
moves on Sunday. You had to totally make your moves on Sunday when we were at that one booth. So
I didn't realize that word was actually spreading. That I was like, yes, I am notorious for being like meticulous hunter. Put it that way.
yeah. So we
But it
got
wasn't really fair that first day. When the first day you got there, you were kind of zonked down most
Dude,
of
I
the day.
was
too.
listen.
Looked like
This
you'd done like 14 quaaludes and could barely walk, man.
I literally was running on like maybe like an hour, if that, of sleep. To the point that I was actually my brain was on autopilot while I was co-piloting with BC when he was driving. Like I actually told him, dude, I don't know what I was telling you during the car ride. I like my brain actually shut off and my mouth was just saying shit.
oh God. So yeah, it was your first con
Yep.
and in your first Terrificon. Noah, your first con as well there.
Yep.
Is that your first big con?
Yeah, that was my first big show. I mean, all the other ones I've done is either 3-man events or just other smaller shows.
Okay. And Chin, you've been there obviously a few times. So
Many times, yeah.
let's start off with the Canadian. Let's talk about this. So you came down, drove down from Canada with BC, and I know we talked about it briefly. So if you guys want to go check out the Canadian recap hangover show, make sure you go check out Black Crown Comics on YouTube. We were on there Wednesday night. Hyper, myself, Rocksteady, a couple other guys, just talking about it. But explain your kind of cons compared to what Terrificon was. Like, I know you have, a little bit smaller shows. You may have a 1-day show, 2-day shows here and there, but like, what was your taken as being a first time coming to Terrificon?
So
Tell
I
the
mean,
people, sell it for next year.
so listen, I've been watching like some of the preview shows heading into Terrificon just to kind of get an anticipation. Like I was watching the Three Men in the Basement previews, and the one thing I've been told is like the constant theme is that it's a pure comic show and there's a lot of space to walk around. That's usually my knock on the cons that I go to in Canada. Like square foot wise, they're there, but the problem is it just feels very claustrophobic. It just feels like you're shimmying from like short box to short box. Whereas when I got in like day one, honestly, it was a bit overwhelming. Like the first day, I was like, holy shit, this is actually a lot bigger than I expected. And I've been to Fan Expo Canada, which is considered the biggest, like I guess, con in Canada. And even then, even with that much space, it still felt like cramped. Whereas in Terrificon, it just felt like you had room to walk around, and there wasn't as much, I guess you could say, anxiety when you're digging through boxes. Like it just feels like people weren't, butting into each other, and it just felt like a much more of a pleasure hunting at Terrificon.
There's
But
like there's enough vendors, even with
oh yeah,
enough people, that you can actually, they're spread apart, unlike a small show like you're saying in Canada. And it would be the same thing even here. Like we have like 1-day shows, and when it's crowded, everyone's literally, if someone has 8 on a table, if they have 8 long boxes and there's like 7 people to 8 long boxes, you're all just like real close together, like trying to dig through stuff. And then you're just switching each other, you're going from like one box to the next, and people are kind of moving, but that's good. I like what you're saying, especially compared to, up in Canada.
yeah.
Noah, first timer. What did you think, especially about your first 3-day show?
So yeah, going for the full 3 days, my legs were very sore walking around every single day. But it was absolutely fantastic. I have been in that convention center for a tattoo convention they have there, I think like twice a year. So I kind of knew the Earth Expo Center, but I didn't know what it was going to be like set up for Terrificon, and there was just so much stuff. And there was, Hyper Combo was saying, a lot of people were saying it's definitely a comic book show. But, and there's tons of comic book vendors there, and it was crazy, but I actually didn't do as much digging as I thought I was. I was definitely more walking around and hanging out with everyone more than actually digging for comics, which I didn't think that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, I know that's Zach's big thing. Like Zach's not a big, hunter like myself or Hyper, digging in boxes, trying to pick up as much as possible. It's all about the hangout. And that's like the coolest thing too, like, is the fact that you can just walk down an aisle, you see someone, you see someone in the community, and then, you know what, instead of doing what you were planned to do, you're ended up hanging out with them for like 20-30 minutes and just whatever, shooting shit, and then you're digging in boxes with them. So
So I get like anxiety too if I'm like digging a box, right, and there's like tons of people around. So I get like multiple levels of anxiety. First off, I don't really like large crowds and a lot of people behind me and in my back where I can't see them. Like that always bugs me. And then I also just don't. I always feel like I'm like too Irish Catholic as well, where I'm like very polite. And so I'm like, oh, I really want to get to that box, but I don't want to like steal that book. And if there's like 4 copies of something, oh, should I be the asshole who takes that? Like, I don't really know the etiquette and it makes me feel really bad. And so, and at the same time, like I don't hunt and stuff. So I'm also like, I don't really know what the F I'm looking for here. Like, I got to go with a purpose. So, I just decided a long time ago that that's not my life. That's not the life for me. So I'm not a hunter. I don't really care enough. And yeah, man, no.
And you definitely can't stand next to me then when I'm digging through some people's boxes and I'm pulling out like 6 Kanan ones and like 20 copies of Force Awakens ones. You're just like, I was just like, whatever. I was like,
here's 7. And then, like the person, like, that's the other thing too, is you turn it over to like the guy you're purchasing from, right? Like, let's say, I mean, I'm sure they have a good idea of what these books are, but let's say they don't, right? And like, why'd you pick 7 copies of this random book? Like, obviously it's worth something. So now I got this anxiety of like, oh, am I gonna have to fucking haggle with this guy? That's my nightmare. Like, no, dude, that's I'd much rather just purchase from eBay for prices and not mess with that shit, dude.
yeah.
No way.
So Chin, you guys are set up. This was your second year setup with them, right?
No, third year setup with them. This is like my 6th, 7th, maybe 8th Terrificon though. I've been going for years.
Right. So you guys weren't considered Artist Alley, were you? You guys were still considered like the vendors.
We were like right on the line of vendors. We're literally like where it turned to where some people are artists, some people are vendors. We were right in that one row of just like little mixture of the two.
Yeah. So, you guys setting up. You had books. You had the YouTube. You guys were promoting that. You guys were doing raffles. You guys were doing giveaways and stuff. Like, talk to us about that. How was your experience with Terrificon? And I know you're going to be doing it on a live show upcoming, but
next week, we'll be talking about it. But I mean, it's a blast. So I mean, I've been doing conventions since 2010. I mean, I used to do a podcast where we went to a bunch of different conventions and events and stuff like that. And to this day, my top convention is Terrificon because it's such a different feeling than all the others. You get that giant feel with that small kind of community kind of thing, like feel with it. There's no convention like it. But setting up it's a lot different than actually just going. Like if you go just to show up, you're like, cool, I'm gonna maybe see some people I know, maybe do some digging, meet an artist or two. When you're at a booth, it's nice to the point where I'm like, I don't have to go anywhere because everybody kind of comes here. I get to see everybody as they go by. I don't have to go looking for people. It's like a central point, which is cool. But on the only downside to it is I'm stuck at that booth a lot of time. Yeah, I can't really move a lot of the time, which honestly I don't mind because it's so much fun because so many people just come by, whether I know the person or not, and start talking comics. Hey, what are you looking for? Stuff like that. And then if it is someone I know, just get to sit there and hang out and talk with people. And it's like no other show because there is so many people that I do know or have met them for the first time. Like Hyper, I met you for the first time, which is awesome. Cause I mean, I've been talking in chats for years and stuff. No, I've met you before, but but no, it's my favorite show of the year because the show itself, yes, it is a comic show with all the guests and everything, but they have toys and some anime stuff, a little mixture, the people cosplay, but it's the after effect that once those con doors close, everybody's back at their hotel room, taking a quick little 20-minute power nap to stay out the night after the night of, and it's just there's no other show like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I never got any of those power naps. I don't know who was handling.
Oh, I got no power naps. I had just enough time to go back, possibly shower before we did like a live show or something like that. Then I was there Thursday night, from Thursday until Sunday night when I got home around like 9 to pass out. I was running on about 6 hours sleep total. And it hit me the second I walked in the door.
Yeah. My power naps were probably Red Bull or Celsius to keep it moving at night. And I feel you. I feel you right now. Like I'm still doing it. I'm still going through it. I can't wait for 5 o'clock tomorrow and just on Friday just to end this. It was a great week. And for myself, first and foremost, got to thank Mitch. Mitch puts on a great program there. I've been going for many years. First time set up. Second, seriously got to thank Ken Marion for showing up with us. It was an absolute pleasure just hanging out with him all weekend. Like, it's great because it's not someone that you feel like, oh, you can't talk to. Like, V is just such an awesome person. Like, there's times where I'm not there and I know Zack and him are having a great conversation. There's times where Zack's not there and him and I are having a great conversation, or we're all there and we're all just shooting the shit. And it was just so much fun. Like, I don't feel like out of the norm. Like, he's just like a regular guy like us, and he's an artist, and he's so killer. So seriously, shout out to him. And I got to give a shout out to the community before I continue, to everybody who purchased our variant. We really appreciate it. Zack and I, it was a toll, to get it ready, right? I think we were working on this since maybe like March, Zack.
Yeah,
probably like that. And it was it's an investment. It's not a no joke thing. So the fact that we could sell what we could sell there was just really awesome. And we want to continue to sell it. We want to continue to push it, both for the podcast ourselves, getting it out to the community, as well as just pushing V's art as well, because he just crushed it on that Ninja Turtles thing. I've seen a lot, I've said it before, we've seen a lot of the variants, and I just feel like ours is better than the rest. That's just my opinion, man. I'm sorry. Like,
as a big Turtle fan, he absolutely crushed it. And I told him this when I had him sign the book for me. There was over 100 and something variants for this book. I only bought like 2 or 3, and one of them was you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, man. Sitting at the booth, like I said, I don't want to be around people, so I was happy while Justin went hunting to like chill and man the booth. Nice little table separating me from the detritus walking around the con, sneezing and coughing everywhere. But even more so, it's just like fun hanging out and shooting the shit with Ken, man. I mean, like, we were just talking about the most random shit he was telling me. I wish I could tell some of the stories that he was telling me, but I can't tell some of the dirty laundry that he's told me. But dude, some of these stories are hilarious about just his experience as an artist and like requests he received from people asking for commissions. Just some wild shit, dude, of people out there in the community. But like, we were just laughing the whole time, having a good time, man. It was a lot of fun. And big shout out also to Justin, dude. I mean, you did the lion's share, 90% of the work for the TMNT. I mean, I was just there pretty much. Justin did all the coordinating with Bird City, with the shops, with the books, bringing the books, the skateboards, everything. So I think I printed out some QR codes that were even used. It might have been my
contribution.
My contribution, and sent some money to Justin for the books as well. But yeah, I mean, the bulk of it, most of it, almost all of it was all Justin. So big shout out, bro. You killed it. You crushed it. It was a lot of work, and but it was fun. Not sure I want to do it again, but it was fun. It's fun.
I have ideas of changing it up.
Yeah, we've talked about a few things, and yeah, print run would be something a little bit more manageable next time. But
I will add this though. Like, I made a post about this on my IG, and I'm not saying this because I knew you guys on a more personal level, but like, just being objectively speaking, of the exclusives that did come out, I actually did find you guys had the best exclusive. No cap, just because, look, like I mentioned, it kind of spoke to me in 2 levels: being a TMNT fan and being a video game, fan.
Yeah,
it was like a perfect storm of both those mixed together. So just from that nostalgic kick, it was already like up there in terms of one of the best exclusives for the TMNT.
Yeah, I mean,
appreciate
that's what it was. I mean, we went out there, we did it. I loved it. That was the whole idea, was doing the same thing like the old school NES thing. We knew, speaking with Anthony and getting it through Bird City, they've done homages in the past with Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games. Like, fuck it, man. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, no, did I miss something? Did I miss?
No, he was holding up the book.
Oh, he was holding it. Yeah. So there you
casually
go.
pulled up the book.
Yeah, he's just casually putting it up. So, it was the perfect thing, especially for all of us. All 3 of us, or really all 4 of us, were all gamers. Ken's never done an exclusive. That was his first ever like retailer exclusive. He's never drawn Ninja Turtles. That was the first time him doing Ninja
No
Turtles.
way.
Like,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
dude.
Turtles, yeah.
like
Yeah, that's awesome.
other than maybe a commission, but I didn't really ask that. But he's never drawn a cover. He's never had prints. Like,
Wow.
I mean, he literally took the image and did it. He crushed it. I had a couple choices. I said, hey, you should do X, Y, and Z. He did it. He nailed it. It came out amazing. People even were like, I love this touch. And I was like, yeah, that was all me, but it's still also all Ken. But it was just a great show, man. We all had a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Would I do it again? 100%.
Your guys' exclusive was the only Terrificon exclusive that I bought during that show. And it's also the first Ninja Turtles book I've ever bought, too.
Everybody's getting PayPal after this, just so you know, people.
Yeah, you guys are paying us to be on here, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was an open invite, but there's also Venmo that comes after it.
I mean, I burned through the day really with just like, okay, waiting till the afternoon and the evening. That was what I was looking forward to, like the whole time, right?
That's the best part of the show.
Yeah, man, and like the interactions and hanging with everyone, the social aspect. I mean, that's what I was really going for, and it was fucking awesome, dude. I mean, so much fun. I think Friday night I felt like I was the Pied Piper of the Canadians, just walking around and all 5'8" and below, walking and following me through the casino, trying to.
I sure hell wasn't going to be leading the squad with my condition.
I will say, dude, okay, I want to say something about the Canadians. I don't know what it is about you guys. I mean, I understand you guys have some height issues going on.
God,
there,
yes, thank you.
You guys walk so fucking slow, dude. Like, it was killing me. Every time
Cut me some slack, dude. Cut me some slack.
Okay, yeah, I'll cut you some slack because you were like a zombie that night. But as we were moving and we're like trying to go with a purpose, and I'd look back and they'd be like 30 paces behind me. What are we doing here? We got to get somewhere. Like, this place stopped serving booze at 2. Let's get to the next place and grab some beers. Like, oh, she was driving me crazy.
I mean, Zach, you're a pretty tall guy, so you got the long legs. So you're just, steps ahead of them all, probably.
I get it, but like at the same time, like we got to move with a purpose here. So
I got to tell you though, it was pretty great because usually after the show, I'll do the 3-man live show, and then a bunch of us meet down at the bar, hang out for a while. But then I jump around because I know where people hang out. I go from place to place. It is so great having you there, Zach. Because I'm like, there's the cowboy hat. There he is. They're over there.
Yeah, that definitely. People are like, I think Justin said that too at one point. I was like, oh, I didn't know where you were, and then I saw the cowboy hat. So
yep, I mean, because you are a tall guy, but then with the cowboy hat, I'm like, they're right over there. They're in the corner.
Yeah.
You're easy to spot. You definitely can't be that Where's Waldo character in the crowd. You're just like you're too recognizable in that.
But yeah, man, it was. I mean, that's the best part. That's the part I had the most fun with, and just chatting with different people. You know who I chatted with at one point, and to be fair, to be completely honest, I didn't. I'm obviously not big in like the selling game, like Whatnot and all that, and the exclusives and all the shit. That's not really my avenue in the comic book community, right? But like, I'm aware, of course, we do drama and we talk shit on people and stuff and different things. And obviously someone whose name had kind of come up and being like some minor drama issues and being on the outskirts was Bloodhaven, right? So I didn't really know the guy. I'd never met the guy in person. And but then I talked to him Thursday night. I think I'm going to say it's Thursday night. And man, I had a fucking awesome conversation with this dude. And like, he was talking comics. He was talking stories, which, no shade being thrown at like vendors out there. Like, everyone's got their lane, right? But like, sometimes it's like, okay, you're selling comics, but you don't know comics or read comics, modern comics. Obviously, sometimes you've only read the old stuff. So long story short, it's always nice to like be like, oh shit, dude, this guy actually reads. Like, this is what I do. This is my avenue in the community is reading books. And so, big shout out to Bloodhaven. He surprised me for sure, which maybe is probably not fair to say because it's not like I didn't really know much about him. So
you just heard from like, the people that he's worked with, like that's just kind of.
Yeah, I wasn't, let's say not fair to say. I was unexpected that he knew so much. And we had some awesome conversations about current storylines. So shout out to Bloodhaven. Nice meeting you, man. And it was cool, man. Like, that was kind of my theme, for this was like a peace treaty tour. That's kind of what I kind of was saying to everyone, man. It just came off the end of the drama with Gem Mint, which we squashed and we're cool now. And like, I just decided, dude, like, I'm done with all that shit. Like, I don't want any drama with anyone. hung out with Nerdy Girl quite a bit on Thursday night. Had a lot of fun with her as well. Yeah, man, that was my big hunting. If I was hunting anything over Terrificon, that's what it was, man. It was just having fun, getting to meet people, and yeah, massive success, dude.
Yeah.
Missed it seeing Noah ride fucking the bulldog. I was bummed about.
Oh, there's images. There's a video of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can't wait
got
to
a
see
few
that.
videos. Yep.
Yeah.
I guess that'll be a 3-man thing. You'll be posting that.
Oh
for the
yeah,
live show?
actually,
Yeah.
I know exactly as the video, so I got to get it from him.
Well,
Okay, I'll have to watch
so-
that.
If you go check out Blackcrown's show from Wednesday night, the intro was quite impressive because it had a certain someone snoring. So make sure you go and check out Blackcrown Comics YouTube live show.
I haven't seen that one.
The beginning is quite fun. But before we get over from you, Zach, why don't we just talk about your KC boy, you and your Kansas City guy that you were having fun with at the show? Who walked up to our table that you guys had like a 20-minute conversation with about Kansas City?
Ryan?
And yeah,
Ryan?
man,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Yeah, Ryan Kincaid. Yeah. So he was wearing a KC hat. And so I was like, hey, shit, you from KC? Because I mean, it's tricky, dude. Like now, obviously, the Chiefs are very successful. And so you're seeing the hats come out and stuff. But I'm still operate under the frame that like if someone's wearing a Chiefs gear, they're probably a real Chiefs fan, even though that's not necessarily true. But so anyway, we started talking about Kansas City. He lives in I don't want to put where he lives. He lives, I don't want to dox him online. He lives in an area that I'm very familiar with that I used to live in and my family lived in, and family still lives out there. And so we had a lot of good conversations about Kansas City and the Chiefs and different stuff like that. So that was really awesome. It's interesting too, because like these guys, the writers and the artists and stuff. I don't know why you think this, but because it's not true when you kind of break it down, but you think they all live in like California or New York, right? Like that's what you just assume that's where they're all from. And so when you hear they're from like middle America or like Podunk Town or some shit like that, like Justin, where does I'm not trying to dox him either, but where does Kin say Brett Booth lives? Does Brett Booth have like a compound somewhere like in the wilderness that Kin always tells us about?
Yeah, I could.
Like he lives out like in the wilderness somewhere. So it's always really interesting to hear these guys coming from like someplace that's not LA and not New York or something like that. So
but he's cool because it was nice to see that because
man.
He's like walking around the show and he's just like walking down our aisle and he stopped kind of at Ken's booth and saw the art and we just started having the conversation and he knew who I was from like my Instagram name and because I know one of my buddies, Cody, does a lot of stuff with him like commissions and stuff and Ryan's done some commissions for me in the past at New York Comic Con and stuff like that. So it was really cool and we were like talking like Planet City and like that's their big con in Kansas City and I'd love to get out there. So but it's cool to just see these guys that actually just say screw it, like I'm gonna get away from my booth for a little bit and actually go walk around and like see what's going on instead of just being stuck and sitting there. And I know the longer you sit there the more money you make because whether you're signing books and charging people or whatever, but like it's cool. They get up, they walk around, they see they see the community. So
yeah,
I thought it was cool. He went and talked to Ken about his art too. Like the artists usually just kind of stay and do their own thing, like you said, Justin. But that was really cool. He was out there talking to Ken about his art and like, oh, hey, this is cool, blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. I think it's like game recognizing game. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we had Jason Aaron stop by our booth and talk for us for a little while. He was pretty. I mean, I had talked to him previous in the day. We became. I'm gonna call him just say we're beard bros now, so it's great. But like it was cool. He just came over to the booth, started talking different books and other stuff. I was like, well, this is something you don't like. Doesn't happen everywhere else. Most shows, like you said, they're behind the booth.
Yeah, it was. Again, that was my con experience being there for 3 days at the show, 5 days total, 4 total nights, Thursday through Monday. I think that other than everybody picking up the variant and supporting us was great. But I think hands down, and I said it on Black Crown show last night, I think the most amazing thing from the entire weekend was when Zach and I left the booth, we walked over to Jason's Aaron's table and we told him like, listen, like, we run a podcast. We both have like full-time jobs. Like I'm X, Zach's Y. We really love your writing and everything. And we gifted him a couple copies of the book. And, he signed a couple of copies just for us. And when he said, oh, I've seen this book, I've been signing this book all, for the past 2 days, was literally like that hit me. Like, cause it's just like people are actually buying the book and bringing it to Jason. Like, it's really nice to hear that from him. So that was my best con experience for 2024.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that was cool.
And that's a good idea. I should have done that.
Well, I guess maybe another time. But
yeah,
Noah, so your big show, like, what did you do? Like, what did you enjoy the most? You know, as far as writers, artists, like, what did you pick? I don't want to say like, oh, what did you pick up type of thing, because it's not a show and tell type of thing. But you know, who did you see that was like, who was like your big goes to?
So, being my first big con I ever gone to, it's also the first time I ever got my own signatures from anyone. So obviously the big headline that was at the show was Jim Lee. I did get a prepaid ticket for him. I stood in a 2-hour line, which was great. I met some friends in the line, and I was shouting out Three Men and you guys. Actually, I was telling everyone about you. Hey, go follow these guys. But yeah, so that was an experience, definitely. But it was very cool. Like some of the artists that didn't even have lines, like big, not super big, but like, I don't know, like Jerry Ordway. Like I met him. He was a super nice guy. He had no line when I walked up to him. But super nice guy. I got him to sign something. Also Ryan Santos, who was an artist. I got a very awesome Mr. Freeze head sketch by him. And it blew me away how fantastic it was. So yeah. And other than that, like, you know, again, like everyone says, it's really the community, just getting to hang out with everyone all weekend long. It was an absolute blast. And I'll definitely remember it, and I'll definitely be going next year as well.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't get a chance to hang out with you. Like, you're 21, right? Are you? Yes, no.
I'm 22. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know it's tough because like we hang out with Wesley, and Wesley's like 20. He'll be 21 next year.
Yeah.
And next year he's in. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a
I
little
didn't even
tough.
realize he was under 21.
Yeah. So it's like he can hang out and drink with us for a little bit, but then we kind of have to go after dinner. It's like, sorry, Wes, like we're going out like to the party.
Joey too.
Yeah, and Joey's the same way. So
he's got a couple more years.
Yeah. So other than that, before I kind of want to continue the conversation with you, Noah, but let's bring on Rocksteady, who's finally home, all the way out in the west of Canada. So before we get into Rocksteady's crazy experience, I wanted to ask, and I don't know if anybody knew about this, and I said this to Otto on Sunday, but did anybody know that Jim Lee was 2 hours late?
Yes,
I did know
we
that.
mentioned it.
Yep.
Oh, okay. But did anybody know why? Did anybody find out why?
No, I didn't hear the story.
Yeah. So I knew a kind of family member that was in the walking around, and he sent me a text like, nobody picked this guy up from the airport.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Otto didn't believe me when I told him that on Sunday night. I go, you know why Jim Lee was late? These guys didn't grab him. Like, I thought that's like terrible. Like, I
bet Mitch was pissed, dude.
Oh, I would have been.
I'd be sweating. I'd be sweating, like not doing something, especially he's only there for one day.
Right.
And
it's Jim Lee. It's not like it's someone else, you know. It's also Jim Lee.
Yeah, it's not like your biggest name that you had come to the show almost.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So real quick before we get to Rocksteady, did anybody do the Keanu Reeves thing? Was anybody?
No.
That was like
no.
Oh well, we talked about that last week, myself and Newbie, that they announced that kind of like last minute, and because he was at Foxwoods, which is one of the other casinos that's right by Mohegan Sun,
like 30 minutes away.
Yeah, performing with his band Dogstar, and somehow they got it with him and Ron Garvey to just come and do like an hour and a half signing. And I heard he was super nice to the people that I've seen pictures and kind of talked with people. You know, unfortunately, stuck behind a booth being a vendor. I guess we didn't really get the opportunity to do that. Not sure if I'd have anything get signed by. I mean, I'd literally have him just sign a Berserker 1, but I'd really like to meet him. I
think that's all he was signing was Berserker.
Well, yeah, that's what it was.
I talked to Mitch. We were out with Mitch Saturday night, and he was talking about it, and he got to eat Johnny Rockets or something with him. And he's like super awesome, laid back, down to earth kind of guy. So his team was a little weird, but he said he was a super nice guy. He was awesome. Because I was thinking about, I was like, I'll get a Berserker signed by him. But that Thursday night, 2 a.m., I was walking by and there was already people lined up, and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'd heard people, so no one was supposed to camp out, and then people were camping out, and security would like drive them off, and then when security left, the people would come back. So it was just like roaches with the lights, and then they'd scatter, and then they'd come back and scatter.
So I was one of those roaches.
Yeah.
What was it, 2:30 or 3 a.m.? I went by there, and they said, okay, we're going to start letting a lineup happen at 7 a.m. So I went down, like, got there shortly before 7 a.m. and it was already capped. There was security kicking people out of there, being like, no, we have our people. The signing wasn't till what, 11:30, mind you?
I think it was like 12:30.
12:30?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was there at 7 a.m. and it was capped.
So the thing is, me and BC, like the reason I actually got the minimal amount of sleep possible is because we decided to leave earlier than planned because of the Keanu Reeves signing. We figured, okay, we'll leave Montreal early and then we'll just go straight to the Keanu Reeves and then we'll get our power nap and then we'll go to the con. About like we were like an hour away from the venue and then all I see is a message from Rocksteady, yo, and I'm like, shit, I knew exactly what he was. As soon as he typed yo, I'm like, okay. I fear the worst, and yeah, he just told me that the line got capped, and I'm like, all right, well, we might as well just make the most of it at this point. So, yeah, we only found out during midway that the line was capped.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty wild. That's what they had.
Yeah.
So, Rocksteady, welcome onto the show. It's been a while. I mean, I haven't seen you in 24 hours via a box, but
Yeah, it was good hanging out with everybody. But what a mission at the end.
yeah, it's things happen, but like you made the best of it. So, obviously for the people that don't know, explain what happened. You came on Thursday. You were
So
there.
I came on Thursday. Everything was smooth getting there. Spent the weekend there. Awesome con, and then it's time to go. So it's a Sunday, and I was out a little bit late the Saturday night.
A little.
I left you at like 3:30. You were still going.
So I got back to the room, I think, at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
we
Justin
had
opened
some
his
fun.
eyes,
We had a
looked
little
at his
adventure.
watch, laughed, and then just went back to bed.
and I think I said something like, "If you didn't just get laid or one big, I don't want to hear about it." And you were like, "Neither."
Yeah,
And I just put my head back on
bed.
Rocksteady and I went back up to the room, grabbed like a handful of beers, and then went back downstairs and just roamed for like 3 more hours and like nothing was done really.
No, we
Nothing
just
was
chatted and
nothing
walked
worth
around.
staying out till like 6 a.m. for.
Yeah. So yeah,
But how
that was
cool is that?
awesome.
Like, explain how cool it is, like, to do that. It's not like you're walking around the city of
Right.
New York or
It was
wherever.
fun. Yeah, it was awesome, dude. I mean,
Like we sat outside at the picnic tables and just
Mhm.
chatted. Like it's such a beautiful venue. Everybody's confined to one space, so you're gonna run into people you know. It's just like you don't have to do anything there to have a good time, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Great way to put it.
So Sunday comes, you're leaving because you planned on leaving early anyway because you wanted to do some possible stuff.
I didn't even
in
get
New
to
York.
the floor on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I woke up in the room and I just see Hyper bagging and boarding. So I'm like, what time is it? He's like, it's like 10 a.m., dude. And I was like, oh crap, like I gotta go. So I like panic packed, had to leave half my comic books I picked up, forgot my toothbrush.
Yeah, you ran out like you were cheating on your girlfriend or something.
I know, I was like panicking at that point. So anyways, perfect timing, got downstairs. The car was just pulling up. I think I saw Zack at the same time. Like
Yeah.
we were the first ones out of there and we were up the latest. And yeah, so we get in the car, we see it says like 2 hours, 40 minutes to the airport, LaGuardia, we're headed to. And we're like, okay, sweet. We have like 6 hours probably. So if we have extra time, we'll hang in New York. So we get on the way, smooth sailing. And then the GPS, like the time to get to our destination kept increasing. So the miles to get there were decreasing, but it showed 2.5 hours. Then it was 3 hours. Then it was 4 hours. Then it was like 5 hours to your destination. So I'm starting to sweat a little because I got to fly international. I got to go, 3,200 miles away to Edmonton. So I'm like by the Rocky Mountains in Canada, up north. So it's a long way. And then, yeah, so anyways, I'm panicking. And then I get a notification saying my flight's delayed. So I'm like, okay, that's a little bit of room. And then the GPS just kind of took us off the main highway and into like this subdivision and up a hill. And we're like, this can't be right. Where is this taking us? Shortly thereafter, we get a warning on our phone saying, head to high ground, immediate danger. And then the skies just opened up. And at parts, it was like the river was running over roads, like at some point, but it was very short. And we weren't listening to the news or anything like that. So we're like, okay, like it lasted 20 minutes, but that was a hell of a downpour. It's over. Let's go. So anyways, we drive all the way to the airport, get to the car rental place, and then I get the notification that my flight's canceled. And they're going to let me know like 30 minutes, I'll have a new flight kind of thing, right? The 30 minutes goes by, and they're like, we need more time. And I'm like, uh-oh. So now I'm at the airport. It's busy like it's Christmas Day because everybody's just hanging out there. Any lineup for any airline is like a mile long. And yeah, anyway, so I get in line. Ozzy's lucky. His flight is still a go. It's delayed, but it's a go. And so, yeah, anyways, I get in line. They said there's nothing you can do. They're like, you can try Greyhound. You can try a rental car. Just get across the border, and then you can catch a flight from there. So try that. Greyhound sold out because everybody's trying to get everywhere. All the rental cars are gone. And then I get the notification saying, yeah, we got you a new flight, and it's Tuesday. This is Sunday at dinner time.
Ooh.
So I get in line. There's nothing, like absolutely nothing you can do. So yeah, ended up spending 2 days in New York, find a hotel room, and then at like 9:30 at night, I get the text from Ozzy saying, yeah, my flight's canceled too. Can I bunk with you? And I'm like, the more the merrier, bro.
You're like, damn it, I thought I had a bed by myself. Now I don't.
Yeah, like we cram in some of these rooms. So it's like I've had no privacy, no space for 3 days, just stuck at the airport and in a car all day. And then it's like, I was very lucky it was Ozzy. He was like awesome to be part of that with. But then, yeah, we had 2 days in New York, and, you know, I kind of bit the bullet. And I was like, well, when else am I going to be there? So we went to the Ghostbusters house. We went to Manhattan. We went to the Mets game, you know, made the most of it. But yeah, I just got home yesterday.
That's crazy.
Well, that's wild.
In my head, it's like the two of you like crossing the Delaware, like Washington, like on a boat trying to get to the airport, like doing what you can.
Yeah, it was wild, but it didn't last that long. So I was like, okay, it's over. No.
So, you know, you've been there now 2 years. This was your second or third year?
Second year.
Second year. How did you feel going into it as like a different show? Like you knew what to expect, right?
Yeah, so it's always nice. Like you look forward to leaving your own market because you're going to get exposed to stuff that isn't available in your personal market, right? So that's always fun. People are always like, "Oh, bring stuff back for me," all that. So the shopping there is awesome. Compared to last year, I don't know. I think it was just as good. The lineups were longer, but they move so quick. Like you're not waiting in any line unless the con isn't open yet. You're moving through that line. So that was great. But again, it's just like hanging out with the people. And it's like, I felt like last year I was part of a group where it grew that year. And then this year it grew again. So it's like, you're just hanging out with more and more friends. And then the friends like Chinmo, like we met at the show last year. Like we don't really talk, but you know each other and you see each other. And it's like, you haven't missed anything. So you're meeting new people, your group is growing, and it's a community show, straight up.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Chin, you know, obviously you guys did your own thing. You know, what did the three men do for Terrificon?
I mean, we had our booth, and then once the doors closed, we went live Friday and Saturday night from the lobby. Didn't get shut down this year. There was no WNBA. It was great. So it was a fun time doing that. And then usually we go for, I don't know, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And then there's like 20 minutes of it. It's like, all right, we'll meet here downstairs. You know, Otto, Roger always do like the video bar and stuff like that. We meet there. Then it's usually like 20, 30 people kind of hanging out. And then after like an hour or two, I kind of just start jumping around and finding people left and right. Thursday night was fun. I always do to work. I have a new job now. I had only been able to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This year I did Thursday for the first time. And it was great because, I mean, we were hanging out at the Irish bar. I got to talk to, Zack. I mean, Zack, we've like talked before, but the first time we actually like really got to hang out and talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I got to talk to Zod and Jonah Hex and stuff. It was great. So, but
inside joke, people. Inside joke.
Yeah, me and Zack shared our love for Cyclops, which was awesome.
Dude, waiting to see this commission Ken did for me.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I went real heavy with the art this year too, and I'm not upset about it at all. I was very happy with a lot of commissions and stuff I got done. I got my first ever jam piece, which is behind me. I know people can't see it, but take a look at what people are raffling off. You get an idea. But no, it's always the same, but it's always different, if that makes any sense. Like especially 3-man stuff, we have the booth, then we do the live shows where it's always like 20-30 people in like a random floor where we have the lobby and everybody's hanging out, drinking, showing off stuff, coming in and out of the show. And then it's, once we shut that down, it's a free-for-all on the floor. You just start walking around, finding people. Saturday night, me and Noah came down with Rob Biohazard. It was like 2:30 because they put their stuff in my room. I was like, well, I'm not going to bed. Let's go back out. We come down and Mitch is just kind of standing there. And he was like, people used to stay out all night. It's 2:30 and everybody's gone. I'm like, Mitch, we're going out, man. Come on. We get Mitch to come back out with us. And then who do we run to at the craps table? But Rocksteady and Zack shooting craps with Scott Snyder, Stephanie Phillips. And I was like, well, here's where we're hanging.
Yeah.
And we end up shooting craps till like 3:30 in the morning. It was awesome. And then after that, you guys disappeared and we went to roulette table for like an hour or two.
The problem with the casino is this, and was it always like this 2 years ago when I went, but they stopped serving booze at 2?
So there's certain places like the bars do. I think you can get it from the waitresses certain points, but then at a certain point they stop doing it too.
Yeah, I think I asked even when you're at the tables if you can get drinks, because when we were playing craps, one of the waitresses came by and was like, "Hey, can I get a drink from you?" And she said, "No, it's done at 2. They stopped serving at 2."
Yeah, that's a Connecticut thing, I believe.
Massive buzzkill.
Yeah, it was great though. I mean, I'm not a big craps guy, but it was fun.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll go get the blue moons from the room.
Yeah.
That's where you guys disappeared to.
And then we came back down. Yeah.
And everybody else had gone to bed.
Me and Noah were playing video roulette we're like, all right, I guess everybody's gone.
Oh yeah, I was learning a ton about roulette and craps that night. So
yeah.
I had my own room booked for this, and I never slept in my room by myself. The first night, Jeff Comic Dunes crashed with me. And then the next night, which I'd like to know if Hyper did you guys even check in? Did you ever
No, we didn't.
Your room?
We never ended up checking into that
into
our motel room.
Did you pay for it?
We did. We did actually pay for it. So
that sucks, dude. So yeah, then I got paperweight for like 2 more nights and staying with me. But then when we went up to grab the beers, Greg and I, Rocksteady and I walk in there and we open the door and like, use the key card, boop, open the door and paperweight's on my couch. And then I look on the bed and there's Newbie and BC in my room. I was like, what the hell's going on? What are all you assholes doing in here? Just hanging out.
How did you get a couch? What did you have, 1 bed or 2?
I had a king. Yeah, it had like so
that's why
I
you
might have had a
yeah.
pull out. I don't know, but it was just a regular couch.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because I was like, man, I know they at one point I thought they turned the chairs in our room, so they would face each other. So I was like, thinking someone's gonna sleep like that and just be very awkward. And I guess with the
that was my setup, because I don't know what happened, but we had too many people at one point, and I was like, oh, we couldn't get a hold of Ozzy because somebody crashed with Ozzy the first.
It was me.
Yeah. And then I was like, well, we don't have enough room. I'm like, I'll bite the bullet. I'm only sleeping 2 hours. I'm waking up to do all the floor stuff. I'm like, I'll sleep in and roll into the bed. So I set up the chairs, and then Ozzy got back to us. So I didn't have to sleep. And then I slept really quiet like a baby for the rest of the night.
Sure you did.
Your makeshift bed with those 2 chairs just like lined up against each other, yeah.
And we're just like giggling like schoolgirls while Justin's fast asleep because he has to man the booth in the morning. It was pretty fun.
It's definitely different. I regret not being able to stay out or want to stay out, because knowing that, I got to be up all day. It's not like, and I said this on BC's show on Wednesday. It's different, like where you could just kind of walk around. You could leave the show. You could go take a nap. You could go hang out at the bar, go get lunch, have a beer, go to the pool. When you're man in a booth, I mean, Chin, that you're there all day. Like
like I said, I don't get any sleep. Well, I think it was Sunday because Noah and Rob crashed in my room. I was like, guys, heads up. I didn't lay down until like 5. I was like, my alarm's going off at 7. I got to pack, get the shit in my car, and I had to be down to the booth. And I remember my alarm went off at 7 and I had to pee so bad. And I remember just going to stand out of bed and my legs were so sore because it's the end of the weekend. I almost had to crawl to the bathroom.
Wow.
And I get in there, do my thing. I was like, all right, I have to sit back down for like 2 minutes. Went back to the bed. When I closed my eyes for what I thought was 30 seconds and ended up being instantly an hour later. And I was like, fuck, I gotta go. And I packed so quick, packed everything up. Him and Rob were still laying in bed. I was like, you guys do what you got to do. Just don't trash the room before I go. See you guys down on the floor.
Oh my God. That's the one thing I never needed an alarm. I just go with the flow.
Oh, I kind of wake it up, but I want that security, because just in case.
Yeah.
And
then the anxiety if you don't. In case
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I am.
I mean, it was an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep, but I was like, I might be so tired, I might sleep through it, but I know I have to get up for it, because I had to be to the booth by like 9. And it was 8:15. I was like, I got to shower and pack and check out. I got to go.
Well, there was at one point
that morning.
So wait, who stayed with you then? You said no.
So I had a room. Dave, the brother, ended up crashing with me Friday night, and then he ended up crashing with Roger on Saturday. So I had a bed, and Rob, Biohazard Comics, and Noah were there, and I was like, you guys, I mean, you don't have to, but I have the bed. You guys are welcome to it. And they end up crashing in my room. So
I remember on Sunday at some point we're in a group chat, and I got a message from Rocksteady saying my feet are all cut up, and I'm like, what'd you do? Like walk through the sands of like.
So this has been a little bit of a mission all weekend. There was a few hiccups. I felt like a Atreyu going through all these trials just to get through the weekend. But yeah, I smashed my ankle pretty good. I was sauced. Like, I half kind of know what happened. And I didn't think it was that bad either, right?
Oh,
so
it was
like,
bad.
Okay, my ankle sore. I limped. I went to the bathroom. I came back out. I was probably walking around for 2 hours, and I looked down at my foot, and my sock and my shoe is just covered in blood. And I'm like, I have no clue. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah, I don't remember when that happened. Like, 'cause I was with you, and I don't remember you ever being like, "Oh, I hit my ankle. I can barely walk." I don't remember any of that
playing
happening.
It cool because it was really embarrassing. So
you just were bleeding to death in your Nikes.
Yeah,
you spooked me because that Sunday I was, like you said, I was bagging and boarding, and you're like, "Hey, Hyper, check this out," and then you just pointed to your ankle, and now I just see like this bloody sock.
That was like the third pair of socks too. Yeah, so now I'm like stuck in New York. I've gone through all my laundry because I packed tight because I wanted to bring back all the stuff. And now I have to go get new socks because I bled through all my socks. You know what I mean? It was just a mission. Like, I left my toothbrush behind. I had to go get a toothbrush. So, yeah.
Toothbrush.
Yeah.
The infamous toothbrush.
Good
I literally roll back up into the hotel at like 6 o'clock. So the con ends at 5 o'clock. I start breaking down our small booth, put everything into my car, move my car back into valet, and I walk upstairs, and I'm like, man, I hope these guys somewhat clean this place. It was half-assed. And then I go into the bathroom, and I see this fucking electric toothbrush just staring me in the face. And I'm like, what? Like, who?
And what's with this bloody sock in the sink?
I will be honest. I've never been more like thankful that I lost my sense of smell than when I walked into Justin's room, because it just looked like it smelled bad in there. I mean, there's just like 6 dudes hanging out. There's crap everywhere. People's feet are everywhere. It just looked like it stunk.
And like chips and cookies.
Cookies and booze. Yes, it looked like the worst dorm room I remember from like college. And I was like,
yeah, it looked like the place got robbed.
I don't think the central air could keep up with all the people in that room.
Oh,
like,
hell no, dude.
We put that thing
Body
down to
heat,
like
right?
67, and it was definitely not 67 in that room.
And those things are on time. I didn't realize they were like time sensitive, because I always set mine cold because walk around the show and stuff, you get hot. I came back on Friday night with Dave so he can bring his bag up to the room. And I was like, why is it so damn hot in here? And I guess after so many hours, if you don't touch it, it just goes back to like whatever the preset is. And I was like, well, this isn't happening. Yeah, it's brutal.
That's not good. I thought I was like man, this is like not getting cold. And I guess that's why.
Well, there's quite a bit of biomass in our room too.
Oh, that too.
Biohazard.
Yeah, biohazards, biomass.
And I'm sure some methane probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We went to Mexican the last night, so
that was so good though.
That was good.
I feel like you get a little bit because you only have the vegan one or fish one, whatever you had. I couldn't remember, but they were good.
It was delicious.
Sol Toro was a good spot. Tuscany's another great spot. So, it's just a great atmosphere to hang out with. And unfortunately, I didn't really get to hang out with Noah and Chin that much. Chin, we got to hang out on Thursday night. But that's like you said too. You're like, yeah, I hung out so many times. And then you eventually texted me, I think like Friday or Saturday, like, where are you? I'm like, we're over here. And then you just come and everybody just kind of shows up and hangs out. And, at the end of the day, it's just like, it's such a great con, like just to be able to just walk around and shoot shit with people. You know what? You're like, oh man, I'm getting drunk. Guess what? Going to Krispy Kreme. That is the place to go.
Nothing beats
twice.
3 a.m. milkshake from Johnny Rockets. Ooh.
Ooh, I didn't know that side was open over there.
Oh yeah, 5 a.m. you got Johnny Rockets still. It's great.
We just went to Krispy Kreme, and that line constantly was just.
Yeah, we were there at like 3 a.m. or whatever it is. And there's a lineup.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Can't drink anymore. Might as well eat.
Yeah.
There was one point that I wanted to put out. There's a story that we were outside. I think it was me, Rocksteady, BC, and Ozzy. Was it? And we see Martin Cove from Cobra Kai. So we're all outside because you guys I gotta have to go smoke or whatever. And we walk outside, and I look at this guy, and he's just kind of like drinking, and you could see he's kind of like three sheets to the wind.
Straight.
Yeah. He was just like far away. He had like a small bottle, and I'm like, that's the guy from Cobra Kai, and I'm like looking it up, and I'm like, that's definitely the guy. And he like walked inside, and then got something else, and came right back out.
Dude,
and we're like, damn, this guy is like no joke. Like he was a.
Was this Saturday night?
He was at the. No, it was Friday, and he was at the. Then I saw him later that night at the country bar, and dude, he was lit, just sitting there, still with a. I swear to God, if I remember correctly, he was still smoking a stogie in the country bar, or maybe
and he was walking around with a Mickey.
Yeah,
like it wasn't a bottle of beer.
Yeah. It was. He looked fucked up.
Yeah, I saw him Saturday night. He was having quite the time.
Good times.
Yeah, I know. On Friday night, I saw him hanging out in the cigar bar. We walked by. I was like, "Holy shit, that was Mark Cove in there."
But for the record, I was also walking around with booze that we brought in. Sheets to the wind every night. So I can't really say anything about it.
No judgment, as my pockets were like loaded with Blue Moon cans.
Yeah.
I thought they changed that where you couldn't do that.
I don't think you're supposed to do it, but I mean, as long as you're not being overtly obvious where you're pulling that out of.
We were holding them.
I had jeans on with 2 pockets full, and then had them in my hand. Like I didn't have a koozie and nothing.
Just full of beer, and I was just pulling out the next one as we went.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna stop you unless you like are trying to do it in a bar where they're serving alcohol. Then they'll be like,
that was
yeah.
After the 3-minute basement Friday live show, I had Mike from Lunch Money Comics. He had these random IPAs, and he just handed me one. He's like, "Here you go." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I just started walking around the whole casino with it. I was like, "No one said anything yet, so I'm not too worried about it."
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, simple enough. So closing words from everybody. We like to, as always, we like to kind of keep this bad boy to about an hour. So, anything? Would you guys go again? Obviously,
yes.
Sure, the consensus is yes.
100%.
100%. I know. So, Rocksteady and I are trying to go out to Emerald City. So, if anybody's ever been out to Emerald City, for our listeners, hit us up. Places to stay. If you want to take two refugees in, like somebody from New Jersey.
Jesus?
Yeah, I've been drinking a little bit. I'm sorry.
Jesus or refugees?
Refugees. But yeah, so let's just kind of go around the horn, let people know where they can find you, and your kind of closing words on Terrificon 2024. Chin, start with you. I'll kick you out.
Yeah, that works. I had another amazing year, absolute blast. It's great hanging out, seeing everybody. Got to meet Hyper for the first time this year. It was awesome. Got to hang out with Noah as he, kind of broke his big con cherry. It was great. But no, I had a blast as always. It's always fun working the booth. You can find me over at 3 Men in the Basement, YouTube, Instagram. We'll be going live next Friday, our big recap show. But yeah, and we have a bunch of other stuff planned coming up, so it'll be a good time.
Cool. And I hope you promote the hell out of a certain variant for, winning an amazing giveaway.
Oh, there will be a certain skateboard being shown off many times throughout the next couple of weeks, and probably my lifetime. So
are you going to Granite State?
Oh, it's going to be signed by Eastman.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that will be signed by Eastman.
That's sick.
Awesome. Hyper, how are you?
Yeah, so listen, my closing thoughts on Terrificon. I had a blast, plain and simple. And I was talking earlier on about the digging part, but also the community aspect of it. That was also phenomenal. I mean, like I met Chinmo for the first time, and what's cool about it is, some of these guys, like Zack, you like Rocksteady, we've had a bit more of a steady dialogue, but like Chinmo, like I've talked to him here and there, and when I met him, it just felt like I knew the guy, like
Mhm.
for a while. Like it just felt like it wasn't like we like there was no awkwardness. It just felt like all familiarity. So that's the cool part about the whole community aspect of these kind of cons. So definitely I would go, and like I mentioned on BC's show yesterday, the only thing I would probably change would be I'd probably arrive maybe a day or two earlier, like at the hotel, just so that knowing how the con is, like having pop my Terrificon cherry, I just feel like having that 1 day head start would definitely do wonders, for my sanity, so
Yeah.
to speak. And yeah,
Get yourself all ready to go, like the
Awake.
day before. Like,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
it's like that calm before the storm. You're getting ready for it. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. And and in terms of where you can find me, Hyper Combo Comics on both IG and YouTube. And I've been just posting bits and pieces of what I've been finding at Terrificon on my IG. I might do a video on YouTube as well, just kind of summing up like my finds in Terrificon. But yes, that's kind of what I'm doing Terrificon related on my socials.
awesome. Yeah, I agree. Real quick, just to kind of piggyback as far as like when you're meeting someone for the first time, like even though you've been on the podcast and we've had conversations in DMs, like there's no awkwardness, there's no like standoffish. Everyone's very accepting. All the
Mhm.
Canadians that came down for the first time, a lot of the people even from the community that I don't really know, that I kind of only know a little bit from, either the YouTube side or Instagram, stuff like that. Everyone's very heartwarming. Everyone's here to help you, whatever the case may be. And even to pick up the slack in certain conditions, like our buddy Rocksteady. Right? I was ready to take you in.
Yeah, I know. Even with everything that happened, I would 100% go again. I didn't even see the entire floor. You know what I mean? Like every two tables you go to, it's somebody you know, somebody who you have a great conversation with. It was more so about the hangs than it was the con, to be honest. And
Yeah.
it's so nice because people aren't at one hotel or another hotel, or and you're not spending half your time trying to coordinate. You just bounce around with different groups. So it was peace, love, happiness at this show. No drama. It was just awesome. Yeah, couldn't speak more highly about it. And as far as finding me, basically just Instagram, Rocksteady Collectibles. Hit me up. I do the show circuit out this way, but I'm in like Northwest Canada, so all the rest of your listeners don't care. Okay.
Actually, we have a good percentage of Canadians that listen to this show,
Yeah.
just so you know that. So
They're Southern Canadians.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah.
those 6 people.
They're weak.
They never fought a moose.
Yeah.
Yeah, or deal with other stuff that's going on in your area. But yeah, so Greg, Rocksteady, and I are talking about going to Emerald City next year in Seattle. So that's
It's in March, right?
Yeah.
like early March. So we'll see what happens that. But our last guest, and definitely going to have him back on the show because we want to learn more about him. Like I said, one of the younger cats in the game, up and coming YouTuber, Mr. Noah, Broke Boy Comics.
Yeah, no, the Terrificon was an absolute fantastic show. And again, popping my Terrificon cherry for the first time. Did a lot of firsts this year. For first Frank Pepe's Pizza, first riding a mechanical bull, first nightclub, like all that stuff. It was all fantastic. And unfortunately, I didn't get to meet too much of the Canadian crew. But hopefully, future shows
That's what
I
next
get
year's
to.
for.
Exactly. Oh, I'm definitely going next year. All 3 days, absolutely. And like Heber said, I think maybe getting that extra day in the beginning might be good for next year. I'll get that all 4 days off. And yeah, so again, community was fantastic. Love meeting a ton of new people. And as far as you can find me, I am on both Instagram and YouTube, Broke Board Comics on both.
Give him a follow, people. He is the future. Zach?
Yeah, man. I mean, I mean, I knew what it was going to be like. It was like it 2 years ago. It's the best con to go to. It's a ton of fun. Had a great time. Obviously, reiterating what everyone else said. Especially with the Canadian crew, we've got group chats everywhere. So like, I feel like I already knew you guys. So seeing you in real life was like really no big deal. But also, it's like no big deal, but it's really awesome at the same time, right? So, tons of fun, man. Love hanging out with Ken always. Love supporting him and trying to get him on an X-Men book as much as we can and do might have to start like threatening people. I don't know what's gonna have to happen. I might end up in jail trying to get this guy on an X-Men book. But yeah, man, no, just so much fun. Loved it. Looking forward to going up to Baltimore in a couple of weeks and not having to man a booth and just kind of get to free roam a little bit. So maybe I'll actually do some purchasing. I mean, I didn't purchase one thing except for commissions from Ken at this con. So,
yeah, I don't think you ever came back to the booth with a book. Literally,
nah, dude, I didn't. I barely think I left with one of ours. That's it. Like,
and a shirt. He was too polite to ask to dig. He just, people are digging. He was too polite to get in there.
I was too polite, man. You guys have no idea how many good things I saw, and I was just too polite to take. So. But no, dude, awesome. So much fun. Can't wait till next year. Hopefully, I'm going to have 3 kids at that time. So we'll see what we got to do. We'll see how we make that work. But
even if it's your only one con, right?
It might be my only one. So we'll see.
So make the most of it this year. Get to Baltimore. That'll be our next show that Zach and I will be at together. No, we're not set up. We're going to be hanging out. Definitely going to an Orioles game. Going to hang out with some different people in the community. They're down that South area, so we're excited for that one. And then New York. But for myself, of course, follow me on Whatnot. Nemesis Prime. I got some shows going on. I think I'm doing Star Wars and a Scotty Young theme show this weekend, if not both, at least one of them. And then Sunday, I'm actually going to be checking out the Queen's Comic Party in Brooklyn. Head out over to them. That's over on Frost Street. Queen's Comic Party on Instagram. Also check out their podcast. So I'll be hitting out that on Sunday morning. So
the exclusive, where can they find that?
For what?
Our exclusive.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our exclusive is currently available on either Instagram. You can hit any of us up, Milton Manuel, Nemesis Prime, the Comic-Con podcast, or on my eBay page, which is in our link tree. So all you got to do is just go onto one of our Instagram profiles, click on the link tree, and it's actually right at the top page. So you can go ahead and purchase it directly through that, or you can just hit me up, either or. So, and again, we appreciate everybody.
Whatnot too, right?
And yes, I will have them on my Whatnot, just in general, just up on the marketplace and in the Buy It Now. So, but yeah, so that's what's going on for the Comic-Con podcast. I know we haven't talked about books in 2 weeks because we had Newbie on the road, and make sure you go back and listen to last week's episode if you haven't. Newbie and myself driving up to Connecticut, doing a road show that was really cool. It was kind of like how Mitch and Jerry Ordway do their podcast, just not sitting behind, not everybody at a computer sitting behind boxes and a camera. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, so we'll be talking. I think Zach and I are just going to do nothing but books next week. So
yeah,
it'll be nothing but reads for the past 3 weeks. So that's it for everybody here. That's it. Season 4, episode 34 is in the books. Peace out, everybody. Hey, comic book collectors. Do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.